Sky Watchers, and welcome to the sky above us. I'm James Albury, and I'm your tour guide to the night sky. Did you know that the ancient Egyptians actually used the night sky in their architectural planning? And in some cases, it involved a star that you may never have even heard of. What am I talking about? Let me show you. For many cultures, the night sky was important in helping people keep track of the passage of time. Some people also use the motions of the planets, the moon, and the stars to divine an understanding of human events here on Earth. But did you know that in one particular case, people used the stars for spiritual and philosophical purposes? Ancient Egypt is a culture that we've all heard of. The gigantic pyramids of Giza still stand out as one of the greatest and longest-standing architectural achievements in human history. So, it may come as a surprise to you that their location and orientation was dictated by not only the movement of the sun, but also the location of one particular star in the night sky. When the city planners mapped out Giza, they incorporated one of their oldest celestial stories and how they positioned things. During the course of the day, you notice that the sun rises in the east, bathing the world in its warm light and bringing everything on Earth to life. The sun later sets in the west, and the world around you grows cold and dark. It does this every 24 hours without fail. The moon, planets, and stars also rise in the east and set in the west with the same consistency. To explain this, the ancient Egyptians had a mythological story involving Nut, their goddess of the sky. Nut was said to swallow the sun and stars in the west, and then give birth to them the next day in the east. This simple observation of the transition of day to night symbolized the passage of life. The east, where the sun and all the other celestial bodies rise, came to represent life, and the west, where the sun and everything else set and disappeared, came to represent death. So, when the ancient Egyptians built Giza, they built their houses on the eastern bank of the Nile River. This became known as the living bank. The Giza Pyramid Complex, which is where the Egyptians entombed their kings and queens when they died, was built on the western bank of the Nile River. Pretty neat, huh? But it didn't stop there. The alignment of the pyramids was also very important. Let's take a deeper look. For their size and longevity, the pyramids of Giza are some of the most impressive structures ever built. But they're not just a pile of giant blocks arranged like a mountain in the desert. The interior of a pyramid was also laid out very specifically. There are multiple chambers, hallways, and shafts throughout the pyramids, and the largest pyramid, the one belonging to Pharaoh Khufu, is one of the most elaborate. In the center of the pyramid is the pharaoh's burial chamber. Within it, the ancient Egyptians placed the sarcophagus containing his mummified body, as well as all his favorite belongings. The queen also had her own burial chamber as well. Both chambers had air shafts leading to the outside world. These shafts were not just a way for people inside to get fresh air, but they had a symbolic purpose. The most interesting part of the pharaoh's chamber was how his air shafts were aligned. When the night passes and the stars appear to rise in the east and set in the west, remember, for the ancient Egyptians, that symbolized life and death. But there's one part of the sky where that never happens. If you look towards the north, you'll notice that the stars in that part of the sky never set. The ancient Egyptians believed that region of the sky represented eternal life, because the stars never went below the horizon, and throughout the night, they were always visible. One star in particular never seemed to move at all. We call that the North Star. Right now, in the 21st century, our North Star is Polaris. Polaris is actually a system of 3 stars almost 450 light-years away in the constellation of Ursa Minor, the Little Bear, and it's the 49th brightest star in the night sky. However, 4,500 years ago, when Khufu's pyramid was built, a different star was our North Star. That star's name is Thuban, which translated from Arabic means large snake. Thuban is a binary star system in the constellation of Draco the Dragon. Why did the star change from Thuban to Polaris? Let me show you. Earth's axis of rotation is inclined 23.5 degrees with respect to our orbit around the sun. Because of the gravitational effects of the moon, the sun, and to a lesser degree, the nearby planets, Earth wobbles like a top. We call that wobble precession. It takes Earth approximately 26,000 years to make one complete wobble. During that time, our axis of rotation will trace out a giant circle in the sky. We call that the Precession Circle. And as a result, our axis of rotation will actually drift from one star to the next. The point in the northern sky marking our axis of rotation is called the North Celestial Pole. Thuban was the closest naked-eye star to the North Celestial Pole between the years 3942 BC to approximately 1793 BC, when the title transferred to the star Kappa Draconis. Polaris eventually was the closest bright star to our North Celestial Pole around the 15th century AD. The star Errai will become our North Star starting in 3000 AD, and it will reach its closest point to the North Celestial Pole during the 41st century. Errai is a binary star system 45 light-years away in the constellation Cepheus the King. We'll talk more about Errai in a future episode, but guess what? An extrasolar planet named Tadmor was found orbiting Errai. And since Errai is a binary star system, if you lived on Tadmor, you'd be able to see two stars in Tadmor's sky, much like the sky on the fictional planet Tatooine. To wrap up, here's how to find Thuban. Okay, we have our sky set for approximately 9 p.m. in early February, facing north. Look for the 7 familiar stars of the Big Dipper: Dubhe, Merak, Phecda, Megrez, Alioth, Mizar, and Alkaid. Normally, we use Dubhe and Merak to find our current North Star Polaris. But this time, we're going to use Phecda and Megrez, and we'll draw a straight line away from the Big Dipper. The first relatively bright star you encounter will be Thuban. To check that you're looking at the correct star, Thuban is also along a straight line between Mizar, the star at the bend of the handle of the Big Dipper, and Phurkad, the dimmer of the two stars at the end of the bowl of the Little Dipper. So, by aiming the Pharaoh's air shaft at Thuban, that guaranteed that when his spirit left the pyramid, it would be aimed as close to the eternal area of the sky as possible. And that's why I call Thuban the Star of the Pharaoh. All right, my friends, head outside tonight and see if you can find the Pharaoh's star, Thuban, and watch it and all the stars near it parade around our current North Star, Polaris. Before you go, visit our website, theskyaboveus.org. From there, you can watch previous episodes, listen to the Sky Above Us podcast, get the Sky Above Us merchandise, and you can even ask me an astronomical question that I'll answer in a future episode. The love of the night sky can be eternal, especially if you remember to keep looking up.